I used Godot for about an year. I made a lot of projects with it, and then I decided to change to Unity. Changing the game engine you are working with, it's a hard decision to make. So, did I make a mistake in switching from Godot to Unity? That's what I will be talking about in this video. This video will be really helpful if you are planning to switch from Godot to Unity, or if you are planning to switch from Unity to Godot. Let's start. The first reason why I changed from Godot to Unity is the amount of tutorials and information about Godot. Even though Godot's community is increasing day after day, currently it's not enough. You don't have enough amount of tutorials, you don't have enough posts about solving errors. So while you are programming and you're having some type of error, or you want to add something to your game, by using Godot it's quite difficult. Maybe I spent a lot of time trying to solve an error in Godot that in Unity you could solve in just watching a tutorial. So that's the first reason why I changed from Godot to Unity. When I started using Unity and I wanted to start learning it, as soon as I opened YouTube and looked for Unity tutorial, I realized the huge amount of tutorials about Unity. It's massive. You can learn anything about Unity with YouTube. For example, the YouTube channel Brackets is incredible. It has a lot of tutorials with which you can start. Or well, there are a lot of channels you can learn from. Also, the community in social media, for example, Instagram or TikTok is also giant. So you can also learn from TikTok and Instagram because a lot of creators there use Unity and post videos about it. To make a comparison between my beginning using Godot and my beginning using Unity, I would say that at the beginning using Godot it was really difficult. Firstly, because of the amounts of the tutorials and information I was talking before. That was the main reason why it was difficult to learn it. Although Godot is easy to learn and understand because of its programming language JavaScript, which is great and I really like it, when you don't have enough tutorials to learn from, everything becomes difficult. As I said before, for example, if I was making a game and obviously while you're making a game you have some type of errors or you want to add something, my first tool to look up for these things is YouTube. And when I search on YouTube for these things, I couldn't solve them. I couldn't add that things to the project. Why? Because Godot is not as viral as Unity. On the other hand, when I started with Unity, yes, obviously it was difficult. Firstly, because of the programming language C# that it's more difficult to learn than JavaScript. That's a fact, not an opinion. Even though C# is more difficult than JavaScript, by having a lot of tutorials on the internet, you can learn it better. Because as soon as you have an error, you can look at it online and then you find a solution. Personally, I feel working with Unity much faster than working with Godot, just because of the fact that whenever you have a problem, you can look for that solution online. I started looking up to job offers and I realized that in most of them they ask you to know Unity or Unreal Engine, but mostly Unity. So by learning Godot, it's quite difficult to actually find a job. As everything in life, there are some exceptions that maybe some job offers don't ask you to know a particular game engine. They just want to make a game and they don't mind which game engine you are using. But the most common thing related to job offers is that they will ask you to know Unity, how to make games with it, and all that stuff related with Unity, not Godot. What I really have to say is that even though Godot's community is not really big, it's not enormous, it's increasing day after day. A lot of people is even switching from Unity or Unreal to Godot, or other people is switching their project they are changing from Unity or Unreal to Godot. And Godot is going to release Godot 4 with a better 3D performance and a lot of other cool things in a near future. So that's other thing to consider. Because let's imagine that Godot 4 is a hit, it becomes viral, and a lot of people start to switch from Unity or Unreal to Godot. Well, maybe it's quite impossible or it's not very possible, but maybe Godot 4 will be a really good version, and maybe a lot of people will change from Unity to Godot 4. Because, for example, before Godot 3, the current stable version of Godot, Godot 2 was really difficult to use, it crashed a lot of functionalities weren't correct. But when Godot 3 was released, a lot of people start using it, a lot of people start learning it, and a lot of people started making tutorials about it. So no one knows the future about Godot, Godot 4 and all that stuff. What I can say is that Unity is obviously highly demanded by companies, and if your purpose is to find a job in a company, probably Godot is not your best option and you should start using Unity. So it wasn't a mistake, I think, until here to switch from Godot to Unity. Then let's talk about loading times and crashes. Unity takes about a minute, even though I have a really good PC, to just open a project. When I have to compile a script, for example, it also takes a couple of seconds. But Godot, this is a really good point about Godot, that the requirements of Godot are really low. You don't have to have a really good PC. Godot runs in nearly every computer. During a holiday, I downloaded it in a Windows 7 laptop and it worked perfectly. It didn't crash, nothing. It works smoothly in any PC. But Unity takes a lot to open a project, takes a lot to compile scripts, and sometimes if you don't have a really powerful PC, it crashes and you will lose part of your project. For example, one time I was working, making a project, writing some code, and suddenly when I tried to compile my script, Unity didn't answer, didn't respond, and it just closed. When I opened Unity and my project again, I had lost part of my code because I didn't save that file. And the worst thing, my project was corrupted. I don't know what happened, but everything was working. It was disgusting. All of my user interface, all of my canvas I created in that project, they weren't in the wrong size. They were out of the screen. The input system weren't working properly. Let's say everything was working bad. So imagine that you are making a game that you are planning to publish on the Play Store or in any other store. You want to make a profit from it, and suddenly Unity crashes and you lose part of your project and your project is corrupted. Not a good thing. Godot, even though it crashed sometimes, I didn't lose anything of my project. Or well, yes, I lose obviously some things with my project, but it wasn't corrupted. I could just write my code again or add the notes again. Everything was, let's say, fine. So that's a really good thing about Godot. It usually doesn't crash, and if it does, you won't lose important data from your game. I am going to talk again about difficulty of both game engines. Godot is easier to learn and understand because of its programming language GDScript that is based on Python, and Python is really easy to learn, so GDScript is as well easy to learn. And C#, well, it's easy, let's say, but it's more complicated than GDScript. You know, it's like middle. C# is middle because it's not difficult to learn, but it's not as easy as learning GDScript. So when I started learning GDScript, as I said before, it was difficult, but not because of the difficulty of learning the programming language. The programming language was fine. It wasn't so difficult. It was difficult to follow some type of tutorials or to solve the errors I was having because of the short amount of information on the internet. But it wasn't the fault of GDScript. GDScript is a nice programming language because literally a baby can understand it. It's really legible. Also, what I really like about Godot is the nodes system. I really like the icons that each node has, because when you have a lot of nodes, let's say a user interface, you have a lot of containers, you have a lot of text, images, etc. Having an icon can really save your time. And also, by having a lot of nodes, by having, for example, the collision shaped nodes instead of having the box collider component, I think for a beginner it is better. When I started learning Unity, obviously it was difficult because learning a new game engine, learning a new programming language is difficult. C# is very difficult, but by having a lot of tutorials and information, you have a lot of information, so whenever I had a problem or I wanted something to add to my game, I just look up for it in the internet, and there I had my solution. I learned GDScript in about some weeks, I don't remember, like less than a month I would say. But with Unity I took like 2 months or even 3 months, let's say 2 months and a half, to completely understand GDScript and start making my own projects. So if you're a beginner or you don't know much about programming, Godot is a really good option. So, did I make a mistake switching from Godot to Unity? And the answer is no, I didn't. Firstly, the amount of tutorials and information. With Unity, you can solve a problem with just a search in YouTube. With Godot, it's difficult, you have to research a lot, and maybe you don't find a solution for your problem. Then, the fact that it's highly demanded by companies makes me helpful about finding a job or in the future to find a job, because it's the most demanded programming language, the most demanded game engine since, I don't know, maybe for about 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. But Unity is the most known game engine in the programming community. Then what I really missed about Godot is the loading times and crashes that Unity has. It's awesome that Godot can open a project in a matter of seconds, of milliseconds I would say, because it's instantly. And Unity, sometimes it doesn't crash really often, but let's say that once a month it crashes. I don't lose data from a long time ago. I don't lose any important data, but I am really comfortable using Unity. That's what I can say to you. I hope this video was useful for you. If you're planning to switch from Godot to Unity, Godot is not a bad game engine, at least the beta of Godot 4, because the beta of Godot 4 doesn't work very well, but well, it's a beta, it shouldn't work fine. But yes, Godot is a really good option to start making your games, but maybe when you know how to make games and want to look for a job, or the amount of tutorials and information is not enough, yes, you can perfectly change to Unity because it's one of the best game engines and more demanded in the community. Remember to download my games in the description below, subscribe and like the video as well, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.